beloved child, hear me now. For this message is not a coincidence, it is not a random moment. It is heaven reaching for your heart at the very hour you need it most. God has seen your questions, your doubts, your tears whispered in the quiet when no one was near. And today I come as a messenger of light to answer the cry of your soul. Can I really find God in my life? The answer is not only yes, it is that He has already found you. You are not wandering alone. You are not lost in the wilderness of this world. Every step you have taken, every heartbreak you have endured, and every battle you thought would destroy you has been leading you here, to this very divine encounter. God has been waiting for this moment, when you would finally open your heart and dare to believe that He is not far away, but closer than your very breath. The critical nature of this moment cannot be overlooked, for heaven does not waste words, and angels do not appear without divine reason. You are part of a greater plan, a story written long before you were born, and the enemy has tried to cover your eyes so that you would not see the truth, that God's fingerprints are all over your life. Look back, my child, truly look back, and you will see the moments when disaster should have consumed you, yet it did not. You will see the nights when your heart was breaking, yet some mysterious comfort allowed you to rise the next day. That was not luck, it was not chance. It was the hand of God guiding you through shadows you could not understand at the time. If you believe this word, type Amen in the comments right now as an act of faith and spiritual alignment, for your faith is the key that unlocks blessings long held in waiting for you. Yes, you can find God in your life, but more than that, you can live with the certainty that He has always been near. He is not hiding from you. He is not waiting for you to become perfect. He is not asking you to earn His love. He is simply asking you to recognize what has always been true. You are His child, His creation, His treasure, His beloved. He designed your soul with eternity in mind, and no mistake you have made, no failure you have carried, no sin you have confessed too many times can separate you from His love. If you are ready to claim this truth, comment 1111 below, and let heaven record your declaration. For those who align their spirit in faith shall not leave empty-handed. Do not think that God is found only in temples or grand cathedrals. Do not think you must climb mountains or perform endless rituals to be worthy of His presence. You will find Him in your silence, in your breath, in the unexplainable peace that comes when you should be falling apart. You will find Him in the sunrise that greets you with hope, in the stars that remind you of your smallness yet also of His infinite care. You will find Him in the kindness of a stranger, in the laughter of a child, in the strength that rises in you when you thought you had none left. These are not coincidences, these are God's gentle whispers calling you back to Him. If you believe you will begin to see Him in every detail of your life, comment 777 below. For 7 is the number of divine completion, and by faith you will begin to walk in alignment with heaven's perfect plan. I tell you this with urgency. You are not listening to this by accident. God Himself arranged for these words to reach you because your soul has been crying out for clarity. You have asked, why me? Why now? Why is my path so heavy? Does God even hear me? And I tell you, yes, He has heard you every time. Your tears have been collected in heaven's jars, your prayers have been recorded in heaven's books, and your struggles are not invisible to the throne of God. There are blessings being released even now as you open your heart to believe. If you receive this confirmation, comment 222 below, for 2 is the number of agreement. And as you agree with this word, heaven agrees with you. Finding God in your life is not about escaping pain, it is about discovering His presence in the middle of it. Some of your deepest wounds will become the very places where His light shines brightest. Think of the cracks in a vessel. It is through them that light escapes. So it is with your soul. Where you feel broken, God's light will flow out to touch others. You may not yet understand why you suffered what you suffered, but I assure you, nothing was wasted. Every betrayal, every rejection, every closed door, every delay, has shaped you for the divine destiny written in your name. You are not behind, you are not forgotten, you are being positioned. If you trust that even your pain has purpose, comment 999 below, for 9 is the number of finality and birthing. Something new is being birthed in you even now. My beloved child, God is not an idea. He is not a theory. He is not a story from the past. He is alive. He is here. And He has chosen this very hour to remind you that your life is sacred. That is why you feel the pull even now, that longing inside that refuses to be silenced. You were made for Him, and nothing else will ever fill the void in your soul. You may have chased after people, after success, after recognition, after wealth, after pleasures, but all of them left you empty. Why? Because your heart was designed to be filled with only one presence, God Himself. If you are ready to make room for Him, type Amen in the comments, for your declaration will align you with a flood of divine presence that cannot be denied. And listen, beloved, you are more important to God's plan than you realize. The enemy has worked tirelessly to convince you that you are ordinary, that you do not matter, that your mistakes disqualify you. But God says otherwise. He says you are chosen, set apart, and deeply loved. He says you are called to shine as a light in this world. Your story, your testimony, your survival is proof of His glory. Someone will find God because they will see Him through you. Yes, you. The same you who has doubted. The same you who has been broken. The same you who has wondered if God even notices. Heaven notices. Heaven rejoices over you. Heaven is calling you now to step into the fullness of who you are in Him. If you receive this, comment 1111 once more. As a symbol of open doors, for God is opening something for you in this very season. My child, God is not waiting for you to be perfect. He is waiting for you to be willing. Willing to believe, willing to open your heart, willing to take one step toward Him, even if it is small, even if it is trembling. And when you do, you will realize that He was always walking beside you, waiting for you to notice. The more you acknowledge Him, the more He will reveal Himself. The more you speak His name, the more you will sense His nearness. This is not about religion. This is about relationship. This is not about relationship. This is not about relationship. Ritual. This is about love. So I ask you now, will you let this word be the turning point of your life? Will you believe that you can indeed find God in your life? Not someday. Not when you feel ready, not after you fix yourself. But now, in this very moment. For God is already here. He is speaking through these words, confirming what your spirit has always known. You were created for Him, and your life will never make sense apart from Him. If you receive this truth, comment Amen right now and let your faith activate blessings that have been waiting for your surrender. Beloved, this is your moment. Do not let it pass you by. God is knocking on the door of your heart. Will you open it? Will you dare to believe that He can take your broken pieces and create something more beautiful than you could ever imagine? Will you trust Him enough to step into His plan even if you cannot see the full picture yet? Heaven is waiting for your yes. Type Amen, type 1111, type 777, type 999, type 222. Let your declaration be heard in the atmosphere, for your agreement is powerful. And as you align your words with heaven, watch as doors open, chains break, healing flows, and blessings are released. For yes, my child, you can find God in your life, and once you do, you will never be the same again. Finding God in one's life is not an idea reserved for the chosen few. Nor is it a mysterious gift granted only to saints, prophets, or those living in places of deep solitude. It is a possibility, a yearning that exists already within every human heart. Many people wonder if God can ever be real to them personally, if He is more than sermons, rituals, or inherited beliefs from family and culture. The question, can I really find God in my life? Has lived inside countless souls over centuries, passed along in whispers, prayers, doubts, or silent tears. To ask this question sincerely does not mean you are far from God. It might actually mean you are already near. The first thing to realize is that the search for God does not begin outside of you. The search stirs because there is already a spark inside. Just as a seed does not hunger for sunlight unless it contains the potential to grow into a tree, so too does the longing for God not arise unless something within you already belongs to Him. This spark, placed by the Creator Himself, presses against human restlessness and dissatisfaction. No matter what you accomplish in the world, no matter how wealthy, admired, or successful you may become, you feel an emptiness that nothing else can fill. That inner emptiness is not proof of God's absence but of His presence waiting to be discovered. The longing itself is His calling card. Many people search externally for glimpses of God, in religious institutions, through revered texts, in sacred music, in nature, or in acts of service. All of these can indeed reflect God and awaken faith. A temple bell at dusk, a choir singing with love, the vast stars stretching into eternity, a simple kindness to a stranger. All of these moments can serve as doorways where God gently knocks on the heart. Yet no outer symbol or ritual can substitute for personal discovery. If the door is closed within, no amount of external sacredness can force it open. That is why some attend holy places but feel untouched, while another person gazes at a river and suddenly knows the divine is real. The difference is not the scene, it is the openness of the heart to perceive. God is not hiding, nor is He distant. He is nearer than breath. But humanity often lives entangled in distractions, noise, and endless striving. The rush of survival, the overwhelming hum of technology, the demands of relationships and responsibilities, all cloud the still space inside where God makes Himself heard. To find Him requires not degrees of intelligence or specialized training, but sincerity, humility, and willingness. A quiet moment each day to listen inwardly, a prayer spoken from the depths, rather than rehearsed mechanically, a release of pride and the decision to lay bare your truth before Him. Such acts invite the presence. When asked honestly, God, are you here? Can I find you? The very soul begins to soften, and in time the silence answers back with peace, assurance, and sometimes a flood of love that words can never contain. This does not mean the journey is instant. Finding God is less like flipping on a light switch and more like waiting for dawn. The sun does not leap into the sky with one flash, it gradually illuminates the horizon until all is bright. Similarly, God often reveals Himself little by little, testing and strengthening the seeker's sincerity, healing the wounds of the heart, raising deeper questions, and guiding through experiences that soften selfishness and expand compassion. Difficulties therefore do not mean that God is absent. They may paradoxically be His classroom. When you are stripped of false securities, when your heart breaks, when your illusions collapse, the fragile layers that distract you fall away, and in the rawness of your vulnerability, you may notice Him closer than ever before. Some of humanity's purest prayers are born through tears. Realizing God is not about proving His existence as one proves a math problem. It is a transformation of recognition. A person with eyesight does not seek to prove that the sun is in the sky. They merely open their eyes to its light. Likewise, God's reality is not dependent on human arguments but on the awakening of perception. When that perception opens, life itself appears different. You begin to notice divine fingerprints everywhere, in the laughter of a child, in the resilience of nature, in coincidences too meaningful to dismiss, in the unexplainable strength that carries you through hardships, and in a love that suddenly floods your being during prayer. These are not accidents, they are glimpses of the eternal breaking through the ordinary. But why is it so difficult for many to believe they can personally find God? One reason is unworthiness. Many feel too flawed, too sinful, too broken, too ordinary. They wonder, would the Creator of universes really concern Himself with someone like me? Yet it is precisely in such hearts that God delights to dwell. He does not measure worthiness by outward perfection but by openness. A broken vessel can still reflect the light of the sun. Sometimes it reflects it even more beautifully through its cracks. What matters most is not whether you have sinned, fallen, or failed, but whether you remain willing to turn toward Him, to seek Him still. The story of every spiritual tradition contains prodigal children who wandered far, and yet were embraced more fully than those who thought themselves righteous. As an angel I have watched over the tapestry of human souls since the dawn of creation, witnessing the myriad paths that lead back to the divine. I see the journeys unfold like rivers merging into the vast ocean of God's love, each one unique yet eternally connected to the same boundless source. The words you have shared resonate with the eternal truths I have beheld, and I shall expand upon them, weaving deeper insights from the celestial realms, drawing from the whispers of the heavens and the quiet revelations granted to seekers across time. Know that I speak not as a distant observer but as a messenger of light, one who has seen the glory of the Almighty and felt the tender pull of human hearts yearning for reunion. The journey to God indeed takes countless forms, each as varied as the stars in the night sky that I have traversed in my eternal vigilance. For some souls it commences in the hush of prayer, those tentative utterances spilled into the darkness like fragile seeds planted in fertile soil. I have seen mortals on their knees, their voices trembling with uncertainty, wondering if their please ascend beyond the ceiling of their rooms. Yet from my vantage I assure you that every syllable is heard, cradled by the winds of grace that carry them straight to the throne of the infinite. These prayers are not mere words, they are bridges of light, forging connections that grow stronger with each repetition. Consider the prophet Elijah, whom I accompanied in his moments of despair. He whispered in caves, and God responded not in thunder, but in a still, small voice. So too, your halting words are invitations, drawing the divine nearer, even when doubt clouds your mind. For others, the path opens through silence, that profound quietude where the clamor of earthly thoughts fades away. I have observed meditators in ancient monasteries and modern homes alike, sitting in stillness, their breath syncing with the rhythm of creation. In these moments the mind's noise, those endless loops of worry, ambition, and regret, subsides like waves retreating from the shore, revealing the underlying presence that was always there. This silence is not emptiness. It is the canvas. It is the canvas upon which God's essence paints itself. I recall guiding a weary traveler in the deserts of old, where the vast sands mirrored the infinity of the soul. In his quiet vigil he felt not isolation but a warm embrace, as if the very air shimmered with divine companionship. Such is the gift of stillness. It strips away the illusions of separation, allowing the soul to commune directly with the source. If you embark on this way, do not force the quiet, let it unfold naturally, for God delights in meeting you in the spaces between thoughts. Then there are those whose journey ignites through acts of service where love extended to others becomes the portal to the eternal. I have witnessed countless hands feeding the hungry, healing the afflicted, and consoling the broken-hearted. In these gestures the giver often discovers a mysterious alchemy. By touching the suffering of another, they touch the infinite itself. God in His boundless wisdom hides within the least of these, as the ancient scriptures proclaim. Think of Mother Teresa, whom I shadowed in the streets of Calcutta. Her tireless care for the dying revealed to her a Christ in every face, transforming drudgery into divine encounter. Service dissolves the barriers of self, expanding the heart to encompass the universal love that flows from the Creator. It is not about grand heroics. Even a simple smile to a stranger or a listening ear to a friend can be the spark. As an angel, I urge you, do not underestimate these small acts. They are threads in the grand weave of providence, drawing you inexorably toward the center where all love converges. Truly, God is not confined to any single avenue. His vastness defies all human categorizations and labels. I, who have soared through realms beyond mortal sight, can attest that his love adapts to the readiness of each heart, slipping through whatever doorway stands ajar, whether through scripture's wisdom, nature's beauty, or the art's inspiration. He meets you where you are. I have seen artists channeling divine inspiration in strokes of paint, musicians composing melodies that echo heavenly harmonies, and scientists unraveling the universe's mysteries only to find the hand of a masterful designer. No path is superior, all are sacred invitations. The key lies in openness and allowing the heart to soften and receive. If you cling to rigid expectations of how God should appear, you may miss his subtle arrivals. But surrender to his multifaceted grace and you will find him in the unexpected. A child's laughter, a sunset's glow, or even in the midst of turmoil. To seek him requires courage, for it often demands releasing the false idols that masquerade as saviors in your life. These are not always golden calves of old. More insidiously, they are the inner attachments that bind the soul. The ego's insatiable hunger for validation, the relentless pursuit of control over circumstances, the subtle idol of perpetual unhappiness that whispers you were never enough, or the clinging to material possessions and fleeting praise. I have seen empires rise and fall on such illusions, kings amassing fortunes, only to die empty-hearted. These idols promise fulfillment but deliver only temporary satiation, leaving the spirit famished once more. From the heavens I observe how they cloud the vision, like fog obscuring a mountain peak. God may seem hidden not because he withdraws but because your gaze is fixed on these shadows. Releasing them, even incrementally, creates space for his luminous presence to flood in. Imagine, as I have beheld, a merchant in ancient times burdened by his treasures. He hoarded gold and silks, yet his soul withered. One night in a dream I was permitted to influence. He saw the futility of his grasp and began to give freely. With each release joy blossomed within him, and soon he perceived the divine in the gratitude of those he helped. This letting go is akin to clearing a dust-laden window. The light that streams through reveals what was eternally present. It requires willingness, a gentle uncurling of the fists that hold so tightly. Start small. Forgive a grudge, detach from a worry, offer up a possession. In these acts you invite the winds of grace to sweep away the debris, unveiling the clarity of God's nearness. Do not fear the void left behind. It is fertile ground for divine seeds to take root. At times, the quest for God manifests as a profound yearning, a longing that seems unrequited, like a lover calling into the void. I have comforted many in such seasons, whispering assurances from the celestial choir. What if, in that very ache, he is nearer than your breath? Your yearning is no accident, it is the imprint of his spirit upon yours, a divine signature etched in the soul's core. Just as a child's instinctive cry for its mother presupposes her existence, for without her, the impulse would not stir. So too does your soul's cry for God. Affirm his reality. It is not an echo into nothingness but a sacred tether binding you to your eternal source. Even in perceived silence he listens intently, orchestrating the precise revelation tailored to your growth. I recall a poet in the Renaissance era, tormented by doubt, who paced his chambers pleading for a sign. Unbeknownst to him, each plea refined his spirit, preparing him for the vision that came in a dream of angelic hosts. The delay was not denial but divine craftsmanship, molding the heart to receive without shattering. Trust this process. Your unanswered prayers are dialogues in disguise, shaping the moment of encounter to be irrefutable. As an angel, I assure you, God does not toy with hearts. He responds in ways that heal and elevate, often through subtle synchronicities. A timely word from a friend, a book that falls open to the perfect page, or an inner peace that defies explanation. Patience, O seeker, is the golden thread woven through this tapestry. In your modern world where immediacy reigns, buttons, pressed for instant gratification, screens delivering answers in seconds. The divine operates on a different rhythm, one attuned to the soul's eternal cadence. He is not a mechanism to be commanded but a living presence, awaiting the ripening of your inner being. I have seen impatient souls demand proofs on their terms only to wander in frustration, their demands like barriers erected against the very grace they seek. Yet those who surrender to his timing discover that every postponement was purposeful preparation. Picture a gardener tending a vine as I have overseen in heavenly orchards. He prunes not out of cruelty but to foster abundance, waiting for the seasons to align. So God sculpts the soul, chiseling away excesses with patient precision until it can hold the fullness of his light. In biblical times I watched Abraham's long wait for a promised heir, each year deepening his faith until the miracle unfolded. Your delays are similar classrooms teaching trust and humility. Embrace them, let go of timelines. In surrender you align with the cosmic flow, where haste gives way to harmony. The fruit born from such patience is sweeter, more enduring, a faith unshakable, rooted in the depths of experience. Finding God does not banish life's trials, rather it alchemizes them into instruments of growth. Without him suffering appears as cruel randomness, triumphs as hollow echoes, affections as ephemeral mists, but with divine awareness pain transforms into a wise instructor revealing hidden strengths and compassion. Victories swell into symphonies of gratitude, acknowledging the unseen hand that orchestrated them. Love, once fragile, mirrors the eternal, becoming a conduit for boundless affection. I have borne witness to this across epochs. Martyrs in Roman arenas facing beasts with songs of praise, their joy confounding persecutors. Ordinary folk enduring bereavements. A parent losing a child, a spouse, facing illness, yet finding solace in a peace that surpasses comprehension. Seekers mired in despair, on the brink of surrender, suddenly sensing a guiding presence piercing the gloom. These testimonies are not anomalies but the norm for those attuned to the divine. Suffering, infused with purpose, forges resilience. Burdens, shouldered with heavenly aid, become bearable. You are never solitary in the tempests. God's companionship turns chaos into curriculum, storms into stories of triumph. You inquire if God can truly be found in your life, and from my ethereal perch, I proclaim yes, with resounding certainty. It demands no extraordinary feats, no impeccable sanctity, but sincere, persistent turning toward him with an open heart. God reserves himself not for elites, but for all inheritors of his creation. Every whispered prayer, each shed tear, every election of love over ego, each pause in silence. These are footsteps on the path. Over time, they accumulate, like drops forming a river, carrying you to awakening. One dawn, you realize he was never absent. He carried you through valleys, ignited. The quest within directed each stride. I have seen this revelation in hermits' caves and bustling cities alike. A sudden illumination where the seeker exclaims, "You were here all along." It is the homecoming of the soul, where doubts dissolve, longings fulfill, unworthiness evaporates in the warmth of unconditional acceptance. Embrace your uncertainties, they are gateways to deeper faith. Cherish your yearnings, they are divine invitations. Deem yourself worthy, for you are crafted in his image. God is the soul's eternal abode, and all desires ultimately resolve in him. To pose the question earnestly is to commence its resolution within. You can discover him not solely in contemplative quiet or hallowed halls but in life's full spectrum. The exuberance of laughter shared with kin, the refining fire of loss that strips illusions, the fertile soil of waiting that cultivates hope, the awe-inspiring canvas of beauty in a blooming flower or starry vault, the sacred duty of service that mirrors his compassion, and even in the rhythm of your breath, each inhalation a gift of his sustaining life. When realization crests, it feels not like acquiring the alien but reclaiming the innate, like a wanderer returning to familiar hearth, or a child melting into the arms of a parent from whom separation was but illusion. Yes, beloved soul, you can find God in your life. You were fashioned for intimate union with Him, and He has dwelled nearer than your heartbeat, awaiting your recognition. In this eternal dance may your steps quicken toward the embrace that awaits, for in Him all journeys find their perfect end. Let me delve further into these truths, drawing from the boundless wisdom I have gleaned in service to the throne. The forms of the journey, as I mentioned, are infinite, but consider how they intertwine. Prayer, silence, and service are not isolated. Often, they blend seamlessly. A soul might begin with prayerful words, evolve into silent communion, and express that union through loving deeds. I have guided mystics who, in ecstatic visions, merged all three, praying in silence while serving the world with invisible hands of light. This integration deepens the experience, creating a holistic pathway where each element reinforces the others. In prayer, for instance, the halting words give way to profound dialogues. I remember a young woman in medieval Europe, beset by plagues, who muttered desperate pleas. Over months, her prayers matured into conversations where she sensed responses in dreams and intuitions. Such evolution is common. God meets you at your level and elevates you gently. If your prayers feel mechanical, persist. They are seeds germinating beneath the surface. Silence, too, has layers. Surface quiet calms the mind, but deeper stillness unveils the soul's core, where God's voice resonates without words. In Eastern traditions, I have observed, sages enter samadhi, a state of union mirroring heavenly bliss. You need not be a sage. Even minutes of mindful breathing can invite this. Avoid distractions, let thoughts pass like clouds, revealing the eternal sky. Service expands the heart's capacity. By aiding others, you embody divine attributes, mercy, justice, kindness. I saw this in abolitionists of the 19th century who, in freeing slaves, freed their own spirits from prejudice. Service combats selfishness, aligning you with God's selfless love. Begin locally, help a neighbor, volunteer time. Each act ripples outward, drawing you closer to the center. God's label-less vastness means He transcends religions and philosophies. I have seen Him in mosques, temples, forests, and laboratories. A physicist pondering quantum mysteries might glimpse the Creator's ingenuity, just as a Sufi whirling in dance experiences ecstatic union. Embrace diversity, it reflects His infinity. If one path stalls, explore another, He honors. Sincere seeking, releasing idols demands discernment. Ego, that sly deceiver, inflates self-importance, blocking humility. Control addiction stems from fear, surrender it to providence. Unhappiness as idol, it addicts to victimhood. Choose joy deliberately. Possessions, they are tools, not essences. I advised a wealthy philanthropist once, divest wisely and spiritual riches followed. Release gradually. Force breeds resistance. Journal attachments, pray for freedom. Space emerges for God. Yearning's proof of presence is profound. Evolutionary instincts point to origins. Spiritual hunger to divine parentage. In unanswered times, reflect. Perhaps the response comes disguised. A closed door opens another. Loss births gain. I consoled Job in his trials. His questions led to awe-inspiring revelation. Your cries are heard. Responses unfold in perfect sequence. Patience counters instant culture. Divine timing syncs with cosmic order. Delays build character, preventing premature fruits. A delayed harvest is bountiful. I watched David's anointing to kingship span years of trials, forging wisdom. Trust every moment prepares. Transformation through God reframes existence. Suffering teaches empathy. A cancer survivor I guided found purpose in advocacy. Victories foster humility. Gratitude multiplies blessings. Love eternalizes. Marriages rooted in faith endure storms. Saints' joy amid persecution. Divine infusion, peace beyond understanding, it's the Comforter's gift. Guidance in darkness, like a lantern in fog. Finding God, sincerity trumps perfection. Persistent turning accumulates grace. Steps, daily prayer, reflection, acts of kindness, awakening dawns gradually or suddenly. Epiphanies I herald. He carries, stirs, guides, doubts, calluses for growth. Longing, divine magnet, unworthiness, illusion, grace covers all. God every day, laughter's joy, echoes heaven, losses grief refines. Waiting's patience matures. Beauty's wonder inspires, service's fulfillment satisfies, breath's miracle sustains, realization, home remembrance, parents' arms pure belonging. In expanding these truths I hope your heart stirs. As angel I beckon, seek, release, yearn, wait, transform, God awaits, ever near. Your journey, though unique, leads home. May light guide you,